Hi there, lonely people. How are you? Are you out there? If you are, I'm sending you love. I'm sending you happiness. I'm sending you good vibes today and every day, every night too. Well, what's happening? What's happening today? What happens to get you to this place? Usually, it's a combination of many things that gets a person to that place they are in life, right? It's never generally one thing, it's a bunch of things. And you can focus on one thing and think, okay, how did I get here? It was probably that. But then you remember, but yeah, but it was the other thing that led to that, right? And just like everybody else in this world, I've been burned by people, you know, burned by people that you trust, friendships, and you wonder, okay, why am I a lonely person at this time in my life when I have accumulated so many chronological years? Like I told you in the first video, I'm not really an anti-ager or a pro-ager. I believe in that other category where you're just timeless. You just coast along and try to take care of your health, mental and physical, as best as you can. But in this timeless journey that I'm on, I've been burned. And that most likely has also led to a lonely place, you know. Friends are not easy to come by. And I have a small circle of friends. And unfortunately, we live quite far apart, hundreds of miles apart, actually, in different states and different countries. And that is also the plight of a person of a certain age, because when you live in America, you go where the opportunities are, and you may end up far away from family and friends. And as an immigrant like myself, I moved countries and left everything behind to go to school and to find opportunities. And here I am, you know, and here I am in a lonely place. Well, you know, it's not as easy to make friends when you're older, because so much people have established friendships already, people have made friends from grade school and high school, like I have. That's my main friendship group, people that I've known from grade school and high school, and I've considered myself lucky that way, but that was in a different country, and now we live all over the world. And back in the day, I would suspect that people maybe didn't move around as much, They were able to cultivate their friendships in one place, in one city, in one town, And so it was maybe easier to maintain friendships then. But, with trains, planes, and automobiles, and social media and internet, and you can hop on the internet and maybe find a job in a different country or a different city, or you know And people look for opportunities, people look for better lives in other places, but that splits up families and friends. It's not easy. It's not easy. And then there is having a friend that you thought you could trust, and it wasn't supposed to be. You weren't supposed to trust that person. How are you supposed to know, right? I've had my experiences where I would now have trust issues, you know, and trust issues will lead to loneliness. I've given, I think, the world, society, a lot of opportunity to, put myself out there and make friends, even after having been hurt quite a few times, maybe more than my fair share in life. And I can't say that either. No, I'm not going to say more than my fair share. I don't know. Other people have been hurt too. And maybe because I have put myself out there so many times, like, oh, well, that was that experience, Um, you notice in my avatars, I look like this. Why is that? When I look like this, can I look like this in my avatar or like this? Or you see what I just did? That's what I look like in my avatars. Don't mind the avatars. I look fugly in the avatars. Don't worry about it. Try not to. But yeah, I have been hurt in friendships. And so, after you're hurt a certain amount of times, you kind of get a little weary. And it took me a long time to get weary. And that's probably why I accumulated so much hurt. But yeah, I mean, when you lose a friend, a good friend, it's like you're losing a love relationship, My very first boyfriend, my first love, that's another story, right? Romance breaking up. But both of us were young and we both thought we were going to, I think he thought so too. And our parents certainly thought that we were going to get married. And we had been, together for 2 years. You don't really date in the Caribbean, You might go out with a group of friends, but you don't date around. You don't date different people. You meet someone, you click, and that's the person that you spend time with and get to know and become boyfriend, girlfriend, And that's how it was. But that was my first big heartbreak, because I thought I was going to marry this person, and out of the blue, after us being together for I think 2.5 years, 2 years, it was a full solid 2 years anyway, and being very close, he decides that we should break up. Doesn't really give me a good reason, and just wants to move on. I remember it was pretty lame. And we used to have this favorite restaurant, a Mexican restaurant that he used to take me to. And we were sitting there and he tells me he wants to break up, at our place. And it took me a long time to get over that. Like 2 years, a full 2 years to get over it. I remember crying for about 6 months. And then there's that 6 month hump where you're okay, and then it takes like another 6 months for you to be okay, I'm over it, and then another year where you can maybe start thinking, well, you could be with somebody else, or but anyway, that was heartbreaking, because within 6 months he was married to somebody else. How was that for story time? And that ended up being a mess for him to have found out, years later from him, but yeah, I most likely dodged a bullet, but it doesn't stop it from being painful. So you start like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of caution in your heart, but not enough for you to, you know, stop being around people. I mean, I'm a young person, and, I had my friends. I was back in my home country then and everything. But I had a person who I considered my best girlfriend then. And she lived in a different country. And she had gone to live in a different country for school. And that was her mother had come from that country. And her father was from Jamaica. And we had been firm friends all through high school. And I thought this was somebody who was kind of like my sister. And I had another couple of friends who I had sort of reconnected with. We had been friends in elementary school. And as we got older and started driving and stuff like that, and we could see each other more often, I had reconnected with a couple of sisters, wonderful girls who we liked each other a lot. We had a lot in common, and it was fun to be around each other and stuff. Very artsy girls, fun girls. And my other friend had gone back to her country, and I hadn't seen her for a few years. Well, she came back to visit, and I was all excited. And I said, oh my goodness, now I can connect my two friends with her, and we can all be friends together. Sex and the City hadn't come out yet, but it would have been the four of us, like golden girls, but we're young. Silver girls, I don't know. Bronze girls, I don't know. But, I thought I could connect my two newer friends to my old friend, and the four of us would have been friends. And I'll never forget. I brought us all together, and I said, let's all meet at this pizza place, And we were all sitting there, and we all had fun. We were all chatting and laughing and everything. And I thought, this is great. And right after that, I remember it being a kind of drafty night, and probably wearing something, more thin, because it's Jamaica, you're wearing summer clothes all the time. And I remember it was a bit nippy that night. It was a bit drafty. And I caught a cold. And I remember going home with the sniffles, And for a few days, I'd gotten a fever. And, I remember my mom being a bit worried about me and like, maybe you need to go to the doctor. I think I went to the doctor and got some antibiotics or whatever right there. So about, I hadn't spoken to my other friend who was still visiting from her country, and my other two girlfriends, right? And I hadn't spoken to them for a few days. And I remember going up to their house. I think it was about a week now. And I was just dying to see everybody like, yes, I'm finally out of bed. And, I haven't been able to talk. I remember I had laryngitis. I hadn't been talking to anybody on the phone, having I think had a fever of like 103. It was a nasty little virus. Anyway, so I went up to my friends, the two sisters' house, and they weren't there. And I said, okay, I'll go and find my other friend and maybe we can all get together, all the four of us. I didn't see anybody. I couldn't find anybody. And I was like, okay. And I called and like nobody was kind of answering the phone. Like I was like, okay, where's everybody, And nobody had come to visit me. And I hadn't really noticed that because I was so sick. Well, I got a little concerned. I just had a vibe. And I went up to the two sisters' home. And I saw their mother. And she was acting kind of funny with me. And I was like, Mrs. Such and Such, I haven't seen the two girls, my two friends. And she says, well, yeah, whatever. It's like, it's kind of weird. And she said, well, they're such and such, and they're volunteering to do something. So I ran over there, and they were acting funny with me, the two of them. In the meantime, now I go like, okay, let me, like nobody's really, there's a little coldness, a little distance. And I'm like, I'm almost afraid to ask. And then I started looking for the other friend now, the one that had been visiting the country from her country, right? And I said, well, we can go hang out or whatever. Because me being naive, I didn't get it yet. I couldn't find her for nothing. I went over to her house. She wasn't there. Nobody could tell me where she was, that kind of thing. And everybody's acting kind of funny. Come to find out, the same friend who was visiting left a few days later, didn't tell me she was going, and had left, gone back to her country. Didn't say anything after. It was all love and light and wonderment. And the night we all went for the pizza and everything was fine and stuff. She left, didn't say anything to me. Okay. So now go back to my other two friends now who live in my country. We all live there together, lived in the country, the same little like neighborhood and stuff. And they're saying like they heard that I was talking about them and that I was saying these nasty things about them. I said, like, what nasty things? What are you talking about? I've been sick at home in bed. What are you talking about? Well, we heard that you said such and such and such about us. And so, from who? Same girl that left and went back to her country and left my friendships with these two young ladies in shambles. Well, didn't speak to them for many, many years. Both they got married. I missed both their weddings, all of that. And it was very shocking to me and painful to me. It was actually even more painful to me than losing the boyfriend. And that was painful. I couldn't believe it. So that was like three things in a row. And I think by the time that happened, I was in my early 20s and I was quite ready by that time to leave Jamaica because I'd been like burned so many times in a row. And I'd gotten a scholarship. I left high school and was working for a few years. And I got a scholarship to go to school for singing, right? And that's always been my dream, to sing and everything. And I got a good scholarship to go to school in Chicago to sing, to study singing. So I did that. And I was quite ready to leave Jamaica. And speaking of lonely, now Chicago is a very difficult place to make friends, I find. People are not open to making friends like that. That was my experience, and I was always this happy-go-lucky, warm, fun type of person. Made always joking and always ready to make a friend. And I stayed lonely in Chicago. Like, that's a lonely place, you know. It's very cold, so people stay indoors a lot too. And I don't think me being an immigrant helped. So, yeah, it's you you find that along the way things happen in life why you become lonely, and you feel like you're doing the right things along in life to be friendly and kind and warm, but often it is the people who are kind and friendly and warm that get burned. It's the rougher, tougher types that they'll do the burning and they'll keep trucking, right? So, yeah, it's not easy. And if you've lost a friend, I know how you feel. If you've lost a best friend due to betrayal, I know how you feel. But by the way, after many years, I reached out to those girls and they became my friends again. And I love them. I love them. And I believe I'm loved in return. Pity that they live so far away. Actually, one sadly passed away. And I missed all those years of friendship with her. But I think at the same time, I was grateful that I was able to reconcile with her before she passed away. And I'm still friends with her sister today. And I'm glad that I am friends with her. You're young and impressionable, and you listen to the wrong people. And I could have continued being hurt about it. Like, why didn't you trust me? Why didn't you come to me? Instead of believing someone that you didn't know? And that worried me for a long time. And then I forgave that and let that go. I forgave that and let that go. And 8 years later, after that time, we had matured. All of us, and we became friends again. So, have you ever lost a friend and reconciled with them years later? Have you lost a friend and want to reconcile with them? It might be worth seeking out that friend, unless it was the absolute betrayal that you feel like they'll do it again. You have to be wise about it. You have to think about it and say, what should I do? But if you're missing them and the friendship was solid enough and valuable enough, and it was maybe a petty person destroyed the friendship, something trivial, and it's something that you can get over, maybe you should reach out to them so that you can be a little less lonely, right? They might live in your same town, and you might be lucky enough to be able to see them often. I'm not lucky enough to see my friend, the one that I made back up with, often, you know. But we Zoom or WhatsApp, and it's always refreshing and wonderful when we do get a chance to have a conversation. She's very dedicated to her family and her grandchildren and different things. Um, Very busy person, but when we get together, it's all love. So perhaps you might want to reconcile with a friend. But believe me, I know how hurtful it is when you do lose a friend. So let's keep company. Subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share with someone who might have lost a friend and maybe thinking about reconciling with that friend or not. I wish you love. I wish you light. I wish you hugs. And I wish somehow you could be a little less lonely. Because that's what I wish for me.